All right, everybody. Hi. Welcome again to another episode of Sid Patrick here at Touching Eternity podcast. I am here today again, one night before our original podcast, which is Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Just going live, working with the new studio equipment to make sure that we give you an awesome podcast tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we'll be talking about spirituality. Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships and getting them to work. We'll be waiting for some people to go ahead and log on in and let them give me some messages. So please send me a message. Let me know that you can hear me. I cannot see the people on TikTok. So if you're on Facebook, please send me a message there. Or if you are on YouTube, you can try sending me a message and see if I can receive it. I am now turning off my sound on my phone so that I can definitely try to follow you guys and talk a little bit. Sorry about the late start. I had a client tonight that I was working with and it went overtime. It went over a lot. We kind of went over another almost an hour more than the session was supposed to go. And actually, we talked a lot about relationships, and that's why I am going to bring that up today and tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about a little bit about relationships because of the session that I just went through. So, hey, Chris, how you doing? I am going to get with you this week, Chris, about what you need. Actually, I will probably might do that on this podcast. I'll go over that for you. So get your pencil and paper when you got it. Let me know. While I'm talking about relationships, I will give you that formula you're looking for, Chris. So that'll be something I can do tonight as well, since I'm just trying to work on the equipment and make sure that it's getting out there so that when I'm working tomorrow, I can make sure that everybody's getting what they need and not having any problems. If you see me looking down, I'm trying to follow and just say, yes, I am getting things on Facebook. And Magni should be watching soon. So yes, let me know, Chris, when you got your pencil and paper out, and I will definitely give you the formula that you need, and I'll put it here online so that it would be recorded, and that way Magni can post it on YouTube as well. So that way it will have its own little special place in case anybody needs it. So what we're talking about, folks, for those of you who are listening on other sources, is Chris had asked me to give her the formula on how to properly cleanse and bless a home with minimal, the minimal needs, how to bless and cleanse your home. So I'm going to give her the formula again. So when she tells me she's got her pencil and paper ready, if you guys want to also learn how to properly cleanse and bless your home, I would suggest as well you get a pencil and paper, because as soon as Chris tells me she's ready, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the proper way to cleanse and bless a home. And to tell you a little bit more about that, and the reason why I'm bringing that up in relationships is because what we normally do when we end a relationship or a relationship disembarks from our surroundings is we want to cleanse and bless the area where that toxic relationship took place. And so since Chris says she's ready, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. So when I cleanse and bless a home, I go a little deeper than what I'm going to give you, but I'm going to give you just the basics. So this is something you can do at home. These are the materials you will need. You will need a smudge of some kind. Preferably, for a normal cleansing, is white sage. You can also use Palo Santo. You can use white sage mixed with, if you want peace in the home. You can use, that's good, Kelly, you're doing this tomorrow. You can use sage mixed with lavender if you want peace in the home. Whatever your purpose is, you can use white sage mixed with that or use that smudge as well. If you want to raise vibration, you can smudge with something like copal or frankincense. So there's lots of different things you can do. But I always recommend white sage unless I'm going to deal with something that's very negative. Chris, you might want to look at this. If it's just negative energy, I might want to use white sage and rue. If it's extremely negative, I want to use just rue. Like this would be something dealing with like what someone might consider a evil entity or a negative spirit, like a very evil negative spirit. I would use just rue. And those are just different types of smudges. So that's one item, is your smudge. Another one is you want a black and a white candle. I prefer the smaller candles, not the big candles. I like the little chime candles because those are just easier to use. So I usually get a black and a white candle. So you have a smudge, a black and white candle. I also like to use a sweet smelling incense. Some people like cinnamon. I prefer eucalyptus, or I use a sandalwood. So sandalwood or eucalyptus is what I normally use as my sweet smelling incense. I also use a mister. So I usually get a spray bottle, and I usually put Florida water into the spray bottle with a little bit of blessed water or holy water. If you want to bless your own water, you can do it in moonlight, or if you have some blessed water, consecrated water, you can use that and mix that. I usually mix at least 2 parts of blessed water to 1 part of Florida water. You can use that. If I usually will take that. If you have the blood of Archangel Michael oil, you can use that. If you don't, if you have any copal oil or frankincense oil or myrrh oil, you can put a little bit of that. But any of those high spiritual oils, you can add that to the Florida water, but the Florida water is fine by itself. But if you can add one of those oils, it's better. If you can't, that's fine. I also have another spray bottle that I mix consecrated water and an oil of eucalyptus. If you have cats or small children with breathing issues, you do not want to use the oil of eucalyptus, or you don't want the children at home or the cats around when you're using it until it settles, just because sometimes it can trigger an asthmatic response. Just know that going in. But those are the things that I use, are those things. I also want a piece of foil, and I want something that usually a bell would be good, or something that makes a chime noise. I'd use that for sounding. So all those things are good. Hey, Denise, all those things are good to have. So that's a list of all the supplies. Always have someone that lives in the home, has to partake in the blessing, in the cleansing and the blessing, because it works by ownership. People who own the home have to be involved in the cleansing and the blessing, because it shows ownership of the cleansing and the blessing. So first, what I will do is I will put a piece of foil by the front door and lay that down. I will get some type of fanning device. It could be, some people like to use a little witch's broom, or they'll use you could use a paper plate for that matter. Just anything that can fan smoke, because you want to fan the smoke of the smudge up into the crevices of the things. So you want to have something like that available. But before I do any of that, I just put the foil at the door, and then I stand in the center of the room, and I remember the acronym, "You are my God." And I stand and I face north, and I call in all the angels, if that's what you believe in. It depends on the religion of the household or the beliefs of the household. If you believe in angels, you use the angels. If you believe whatever you believe in, call in your creator, call in your higher power. If you have none of those beliefs, call in your strength. So it's whatever you believe in, that's what you call in. I call in the archangels. I start in the north, and I remember, you are my God. I start in the north, and I call in the archangel Uriel. I ask Uriel to come in and help us with this cleansing and blessing. I ask him to come down and assist us and I thank him for his assistance, and I ask him to approach. I take a quarter turn, and I face the east, and I call in, remember we said you are, I call in Archangel Raphael, and I ask him to come in and help me with the house cleansing and blessing. I ask him to approach and be there to help us with his power, and he's known for healing, and ask him to come help us with the cleansing and blessing of this home. And I thank him for his assistance, and I turn a quarter turn, and I face the south, the word my, and I call in Archangel Michael with his flaming sword, and I ask him to come on down and help us with his great protection in with this cleansing and blessing of this home. And I ask him to come down, and I thank him for his help in the cleansing and blessing of this home. And I take my another quarter turn, and I call in God, the G, and I call in Gabriel, and I ask him to come down and help us with this cleansing and blessing. And I thank him. And then I turn and I face the center, and I ask God to bring everybody together and come down with his love and his healing, and help us with this cleansing and blessing, and protect everyone and this family as we go through with this cleansing and blessing of this beautiful home. Then I go through with the black candle. I light the black candle. I light the sage, and I have the mixture of the Florida water, and if there's the oil in it, and that, and of course the fan thing for whoever has the sage, and I will take the bell. And so somebody should be working one or two of all those, or how many people you need. If you don't want to already have one, or some people might have two. Somebody might work the bell and the mister, but you start at the front door and you move through each room counterclockwise. First with the sage in all the nooks and crannies. I'll open up all the closets, all the closets, all the you need at least two people. I usually like 3 or 4 because it helps it move, because depending on how big the house is. But I like to have at least 3 people, if not 4. So I usually take somebody with me. There's usually 1 or 2 people who own the home that are with us. 3 is good, 4 is better. And we go through every place, starting counterclockwise at the front door, moving counterclockwise through that room, then counterclockwise through the house. First with the sage, being going in every corner, the candle lighting up all the dark spaces and lighting up everything in each room, moving counterclockwise all the way through the house. And if it says upstairs, we go up and we move counterclockwise. We come back down. We finish moving counterclockwise to get back to the front door. When we get back to the front door, and I'm going to add some more stuff, but when we get back to the front door, we snuff, pinch out the candle, it goes down, we scratch off the sage, whatever's left, it goes down, we can save the sage, but the ash goes onto the foil. And that's the end of the cleansing. But while you're cleansing, the spray bottle, when you're spraying, I spray every threshold. I anoint every window, every mirror, anything with a reflection with a cross, and I pray over every window, every mirror, every window, every mirror, anything that has a reflection, and I make sure that no mirrors are facing each other as well when I'm doing that, because that creates energetic voids. So we try to be mindful of that. But I do, and when I get to a window as well, I see all the negativity being pushed to the property line, to the property line, to the property line. You'll see me pray and push all the negative energy to the property line, to the property line, to the property line. And so it takes time to go through each room and do that. And then I anoint every door, and I do the sign of the cross, and I pray, and then I do the threshold, because I usually do the squirt bottle with the Florida water, one of the oils in it, and I will anoint everything, all the things that have reflections, all the door frames, and I also like to squirt some of the stuff, like anything that has a drain. I like to squirt that too to get that liquid down the drain a little bit as well, just to kind of seal what I call sealing it. If there's an attic, I necessarily don't have to go in the attic, but I make sure I squirt the attic perimeter. The outline. I don't necessarily have to go in the attic, but if there's an attic, I will squirt the attic perimeter. I squirt into the closets. I squirt into each room. I mist the rooms with the mist, but I also, like I said, I put crosses on all the windows, of the door sills, over the windows, on the side, or somewhere around the window. I'll put a cross. I'll do pray, and when I get a window that's open, that has that window, I will see the negative energy leaving the house and push it to the property line. And I do that at every window, and I put a cross at every mirror, TVs, computer screens, anything that has a reflection. Do I have specific prayers? I usually will create some of my own, but will do the Our Father. I will do the Hail Mary. I will do some basic prayers. A lot of times, a lot of my prayers are asking God to protect the family. It depends on what's going on with the house. If there's something specific, I'll ask for God to come in and protect. I'll call upon the archangels, and I'll just be asking for protection, asking to please protect this family and send anything negative away. A lot of the prayers just asking for help for the family or asking for protection, and then and having them push the negativity out from the house. So that's a lot of what the prayers would be as I'm walking counterclockwise through. The cleansing takes the longest. The blessing moves rather fast. So going through each room and doing all those crosses and hitting all those thresholds. I squirt every threshold, every door frame has a cross on it. Every window has a cross. Every mirror has a cross. Every TV, every computer screen, anything with a big reflection has a cross. And every window I get to, I can see the negativity leaving the house and going to the property line. And you can see me pushing when I'm praying. You'll see my hands doing this because I'm praying, and I'm pushing the negativity out of the windows and through to the property line. And I do that through the whole house. Okay, that's how you do the cleansing. Everything is counterclockwise. Then when you finish that, you're back at the front door again. You light the white candle. You light the sweet smelling incense, and you light and you get the squirt bottle. I get the squirt bottle with the eucalyptus and the blessed water. And they go through with the white candle, and they started moving clockwise through the house. So opposite, they move in clockwise through the house. And a lot of times, sometimes we will sing, sometimes we will pray. We'll pray and sing, and we'll just move through, just pray. But when you're going through this time, you're seeing everything just light up. Each room just get brighter and brighter and brighter. As you're going through the house, you just see every room getting bright, 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 filling up. Like when you were before, you were seeing all the negative energy leave. You created this void. Now you're filling that void with bright light. You're asking God to fill every room in your prayers. You're asking God to fill every room with His bright light. Bring in the love. Bring in the bright light. Fill every room. Every room. What about prints behind glass? Reflective? No. The reflections I'm talking about are mirrors, TVs, computers, stuff like that. Like they have a screen. I'm not worried about glass on a picture frame. We come into that. We come into relationships. So, but I promised them this. So, and this is what we do after we can the relationships. You got to go in and clean the house real good. And so then we're going through, and I'm spraying, I'm misting with the eucalyptus in the air and the thresholds and the room, just misting each room and seeing it getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And we go through clockwise. When we get back to the door, again, the front door, we snuff out the white candle. We put it down. Now we have whatever's left of the incense. We put it on the foil as well. Usually what I will do then is we'll hold hands and we'll sing. Sometimes if I have one of my crystal bowls, I'll do some sounding and raise the vibration real high in the house. And then we will start and send all the archangels. We'll start in the west and send Gabriel then Michael, then Raphael, and then Uriel back. We'll just as we send them down, we'll ask them, we'll send them back to their place of peace and happiness so that they can continue to overlook the home and keep the home safe, and thank them for their service. And then we send whoever we call, we'll send back God and ask him to thank everyone who came and helped us with the service today, and thank them and have them keep an eye on the family, keep them safe. And we thank everybody, and that is a general cleansing and then blessing. You cleanse first and you bless. And that's where most people mess up. When they sage their homes, they create an energetic void and then they don't fill it. So then negativity comes right back in. So you do a cleansing, you have to do a blessing to fill the void. That is really, 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 really important. Is your man coming this year? I hope so, Elizabeth. I hope so, but girl, you gotta get out the house, go meet him. He ain't coming knocking on your door. Remember, the postman don't ring twice no more. They just hit the mailbox these days. So you gotta get out there and go meet that man. But anyway, we're gonna talk about relationships. I just want to finish this up because I did promise this out to tell people how once you dump them, how to clean it when you finish, and that's how you do a proper cleansing and then a proper blessing of your space when you get rid of somebody. And now y'all know the secret to get rid of somebody, right? When they live in which, and y'all, this has worked. I'm telling y'all, this works every time. I've done given this formula to 5 people, and that has worked 5 times. And because I had an issue and it worked for me years ago. And if you ever want to get rid of somebody in your life, there is a way to do it, and it has worked for every person. I had a problem and I asked somebody and they gave it to me and it worked, and I have given it to 4 other people and it has worked for them. I've never had a person tell me it hasn't worked. If you ever want to get rid of somebody if it's a neighbor, if it's somebody living in your house you want to get rid of, you have to I'm telling you, cayenne pepper works. You take cayenne pepper and you sprinkle it down across the threshold, or if your neighbor, you put it across where that car's got to go across their driveway, they're going to move. Something's going to happen. They go, and you put some nutmeg on it. Yes, it makes it happen quicker. I had an old person in New Orleans tell me that. I never thought I just thought they were playing with me, and I tried it and it worked. Chris is laughing and she just read it because it worked for her. I gave it to a couple other friends. It worked for them. Within two weeks max, that whoever you want to go goes. It just happens. I'm telling you. There's something about cayenne pepper. I don't know what it is, but I had an old New Orleans, a person from the old timer in New Orleans told me that. You want to get rid of somebody? Put down some cayenne pepper across their threshold. They're gonna leave. And sure enough, it works. And when it happened to me, I said, maybe it's just coincidence. But now I've told that to 4 other people and it's worked. So now it's worked 5 times. Within 2 weeks, they are gone. They are gone. So if you ever want to get rid of somebody in relationships, trust me, it works. Yes, across their threshold, across something they're going to cross over. And so the intent that you want them to leave, you put that across the threshold and they'll get out. They will leave. It has worked 5 times. And this isn't from me. This came from, like I tell you, I phoned a friend who I know is an old time New Orleans person who has all kinds of like apothecary, has an apothecary that they say those old, places where they mix all kind of stuff. And I called him and said, look, I got this person that won't leave. What do I need to do? Call a friend, phone a friend. And they said, just put some cayenne pepper down across the threshold. I said, what? They said, yeah, put some come on. So I did, and it worked. It worked. Now I taught to 4 other people, and it has worked for all 4 of them. So we put it on call. Smudge, let's see. Smudge, white sage, mouse. So y'all got it. All right. So let's talk about relationships. So one thing I want to make clear about relationships, and guys, I do a lot of readings. I think already this new year I've probably already done about 30 readings already, and we're only in day 6 or 7. I've done plenty. I know that. I've done a bunch. Anyway, I know Stacy sent me a couple, but I've done some online, and I've done some with some friends, and I've done some. So I've done plenty, and not since the new year, probably since Christmas, because even though I was in England, I've been busy. Let me tell you, the number one thing I get is relationship stuff. So let's talk about relationships. The biggest misconception that people have in relationships is people don't understand love. And what they don't understand about love is that your idea of love and what someone else's idea of love can be totally different. People don't understand that love is a learned concept. Love is learned through your culture, through your parents, through your people, through what you learned growing up, what you saw growing up, what you experienced through community, through family, through, so if you want to know how someone's going to love you, you got to go learn that about them. You can't expect someone to love you like you think love is because they don't know how you love. So you're already going in with an expectation. Sid, please sit. Good question, Holly. I don't see Holly's question, Zeta. Can you type it? I don't. Let me see if I see Holly's question. I do not see Holly's question, Zeta. I see yours. Can you type Holly's question? Because if Holly's on a different format, I don't see Holly's question. Or Holly's question did not go through. So I can't comment on a question that I can't see. I currently can only see questions that come across Facebook. Because Magni's not home and I can't see on my own TikTok. So if she's on TikTok, I can't see. Let me see if I can see it on Facebook. Let me see if I can find Holly's from earlier. Oh, about maintenance clearings. So maintenance clearings, I don't know what you want to know about any. So what is a maintenance clearing? So really quick, when you do maintenance, do you go clockwise? No. If you're doing a cleansing, you always go counterclockwise. I mean, you can burn sage and it's going to cleanse an area, but it's not going to hold. Because when you cleanse, it creates a void. So unless you bless post your cleansing, you don't have to move at all to cleanse. Like you can cleanse your stones in the moonlight, it's going to cleanse them. I can cleanse a piece of furniture by putting sage on it. But it's not going to hold. If something negative comes through it, or sits on it, it's going to hold that. I'm going to have to cleanse it again to get rid of whatever sat on it that was negative. You understand? So when you do a proper cleansing, you're going to go counterclockwise to cleanse, and then you're creating a void. And when you cleanse something, you're removing the negativity. So you're taking out the substance. So there's nothing there. You're removing the energetic substance. So it's leaving a hole. So the hole needs to be filled to prevent something from flowing back in. Does that make sense? You can always burn sage to temporarily cleanse, but you don't have to even move. You can just burn it. And it will cleanse. Yes, it will keep things, it will maintenance, but you are also putting holes in it. You see what I'm saying? You need to bless out. You need to say a prayer. So if you're going to do a maintenance cleanse, you need to do a maintenance prayer to fill up what you're cleansing. Is my point to you. Okay? So back to relationships and back to love. So one of the biggest questions I've been trying to get through to people when I'm finding, and I'm doing a lot of my counseling and sessions, is that the big misconception is that you can't love someone else and you can't start dealing with falling in love with someone else unless you love yourself. You have to understand how you love, and you have to understand how you love you, and you have to understand how you have to understand how that person loves, and make sure that the way you love and they love go together, like yin and yang, or that it's exactly like it has to have some kind of connection. And you have to understand how that person rolls or deals with things. And I'm going to make a very hard statement. True love, and I know people hit us like, I think it's corny, but it's so true. True love is when you can let something go. If you can let somebody go because you love them enough that you want them to be happy, and you can let them go, because if they're not, I always should say this to Denise and Henry. You know, I can't explain how I used to tell Denise and Henry a lot. I cannot help how someone feels about me, because that's not my problem. I can only control how I feel about someone else. And you see, that's the part you have to understand. You only can control how you feel about someone else. You have no control of how someone else feels about you. You can only hope that that person does care about you. So, but in the same token, you have to have enough love for yourself that you're not going to sit there and, try to be involved with someone who doesn't care about you or doesn't love you or doesn't respect you. You have to love yourself enough to demand certain things for yourself to move on in a relationship. And so when a lot of times that I'm doing readings I gotta say, these past few weeks has been a lot about relationships and people talking to me about their relationships, and I do, like I said, I do try to help them with moving on and trying to understand where they are and help them and go to them where they are so that they can become happier in their relationships and so that they can work with their partner. I never tell people, I try never to tell people that you should split up with somebody, but you need to try to understand where you are in a relationship. Truly, try to understand where you are. And I'm not saying that you should ever break up with somebody, but evaluate where you are. Is that person you're with, are they capable, and are you capable of having an open, honest conversation with that person? Are you able to sit down and talk about what's really going on? And are you able to express to them how you truly feel without being defensive, without being angry, without getting your feelings hurt, and trying and not having fear? Find out what your fears are, and then go back and look at your parents and then look at their parents and see where those things came from. Like, what part of your life did you pick up these feelings? Why do you feel insecure about certain things about yourself? This will help you grow in a relationship because you want to understand who you are. If you picked a relationship with somebody that you don't feel that you're in love with anymore, why did you fall out of love? Why did you fall in love in the first place? Was there a change? What did change? What was the change in you? Was the change in them? What really happened? Can we go back maybe and find a path together that we can work out, that we can be together again, and not lose our relationship, or has a relationship that had so much damage that we can't be together again, and so that's been like a big topic over the last couple of weeks. So I'm saying the last 3 weeks for me, because I've done a lot of readings in the last 3 weeks, and it's Most of it's been around love. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight and get some of your thoughts out there. If y'all have any love questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. But the one thing that I do find is that people, when they talk about love to me, it's a love projection. They never talk about love here. They project how they feel here. And love should come from within. Because if you can't go in from inside of you and figure out how you love and what do you love about you, and you can't be happy from your inside out, then how are you going to love someone else? Somebody's not going to give you nobody can give you the love back if you can't love who you are. And that's what I'm, good night, Al. And that's what I was trying to get across to some people, because I had a couple of clients that they kept saying how much they wanted to find love, but they couldn't tell me what love was for them. They knew what they wanted to experience this way, but they couldn't tell me from inside what they were happy with about themselves. And that's what I find that a lot of people are going through right now. And those are only quick fixes. So again, I want y'all to think about that. And if you want to find somebody, learn to shine. Where's my girl that wanted to find a new man? Where's she at? Let me go find her up in here. Where's she at? My girl Elizabeth, she's not been in the streets. Girl, get out them streets. Oh, the streets will get you in trouble. That's Elizabeth. All right, Elizabeth, so let's talk about it. Elizabeth, look, girl. I want you to shine. And I'm really going to recommend to anybody that really wants to find love that I would love it if you guys can make it to Touching Eternity in June. It'll be great, because I'm really going to get into the second part of energetics in June. Then when I come back from June, I'm going to be offering it. How do you keep love alive for many, many years? Well, let me tell you, I'm still in love. And we've been together 16 years. And it's better now than it was day one. And it's not sex. It's not just the sex. It's not sex. It's knowing that I got somebody to come home to who wants me there. It's knowing that there's someone who knows me enough to know what I want when I get home. No, it's not always sex. Sometimes it's just dinner and a foot rub. But it's knowing that I've got someone who's emotionally attracted to me, that knows what I want, and I don't have to ask for it. It's knowing that when I'm sick, that there's actually somebody there who cares that I'm sick. It's knowing that when we get in the car, that I don't have to, that automatically there's a hand that comes over and grabs my hand and puts it in their lap. It's knowing, it's seeing that smile on the face when I walk in. Still, after 16 years, I still get a smile when I come into a room. It's those little things like that, after 16 years of being together, that I still get, that I don't see that in everybody else's relationships. I still get those. And I consider myself extremely lucky for that. I hope he ain't watching, because, oh Lord, that's going to make him feel so weird. But anyway. So I'm going to tell you, Elizabeth, you need to start, what pulled us together is that I learned to love myself. And I don't mean in a selfish way, but I had to figure out, would I date myself? Was the big thing. And I had to learn to love me in order for me to learn to love someone else. I had to learn my own vices. I had to learn how what were things that triggers me. I had to learn how to soften some of those triggers. I had to learn when I had to ask to be forgiven, because I had to learn there was some things about myself that wasn't always the best, and vice versa. My partner had to do the same, and we did. So we understand when we're having those bad times, and we accept that about one another, and we know how to interact with one another in a positive way. But in order for you to find somebody, it's about what I'm talking about energetics. It's about learning your fears and learning how to address them and learning how to keep negativity and what people say to you that are negative away from you, putting them on the other side of the wall. And that's what energetics is about. It's about keeping negativity away from you and putting it in a place where it doesn't get into your emotional surrounding, so it doesn't have an effect on you. Once you've done that, you don't have a fear anymore. Once you build that confidence in yourself and you stop letting other people beat you down and you stop allowing others to torment you and beat you, and you learn what value you have, no matter what you look like, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter how mature or immature you learn that you are valuable and you are worth it. And I don't mean that in a conceited way. I mean, you learn your self-worth and you work on improving that every day and learn kindness and love, and the shine will come. And once you have that shine, you won't have to look. People will be attracted to you. You will not have to look. People will be automatically attracted to you. It doesn't matter if you look like a model or if you don't. It doesn't matter what you look like. Once you have the shine, your energy will attract, will pull someone in. And there is someone out there for everybody. I don't care your age. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you are. There is someone out there for everybody that you will match with in a perfect symbiotic way. But you have to not have the fear of going out there and looking for it. Or not looking for it, but going out there and putting yourself out there and being receptive to it. Because once you shine, you don't have to look. I can't tell you the number of people that walk up to me and try to get into a relationship. And I'm like, I'm taken. And I am not bragging. Trust me. I am just telling you. Sometimes it's annoying. But once you learn to shine, people will, and don't worry, people will hit you with all your flaws. Oh, you're a big boy. You're this. You're a bully. You're angry. You are, you're old. You're the. That's all their insecurities. That has nothing to do with you. Elizabeth, you need to be the shiniest broad in Metro Girl. If you can shine, and again, people, how do you shine, girl? By releasing the negativity from around you, by demanding people to respect your space, not in a harsh way. Don't be mean to anybody, by just saying, if it gets to be negative, just excuse yourself from the environment. I gotta go. Why? This just isn't my thing. Why, y'all talking too negative, and it's not, that's nothing I do. I'm sorry. I love you guys, but gotta go. I don't even allow my family to do this anymore. When it gets too negative around my family, I get up and I go. And because of that, it helps me breathe easy. It helps my stress level stay down. It helps me, and I don't dislike anybody. I love all people. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what family you came from. I don't care what country you came from. I don't care about any of that. I love you for who you are. We might have a difference of opinion. That's fine. I learned not to fear. I have a plan. I may not agree with who you voted for or what religion you are, but I have a plan behind mine, so I don't have a fear about it. Once you have a plan, then you don't have to have a fear. And once you don't have a fear, no one has anything on you. So address those fears. Most people have a lot of people have a fear of being poor or poor health, or they have a fear of death, or they have a fear of embarrassment, or once you lose all those fears because you just don't care anymore, it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to find out, who cares? Then I'm just going to move, whatever. That's what I'm going to do. Don't have a fear. Lose your fears. Thanks for being a medium that I don't have a fear of death anymore. I don't fear death. I do fear some pain, a little bit, I guess you could say. I don't want to die painfully, but if I die painfully, I die painfully. I'll probably just end it quick. If I start getting a lot of pain, I'll probably, then I'll probably jump off a building or something like that. But if there's pain involved, but other than that, think about what do I fear? Well, I'm not going to do things stupid. I'm not going to go swim in a shark tank. I'm not going to go walk across a field full of explosive mines. I'm not going to go, I'm not going to do things that's going to cause me a lot of pain, but I'm going to try to avoid that. But if I was in a burning building, I probably would be the one to jump from the window rather than burn, because burning would be a painful way to go, So, think about those things, So I don't want to go painfully, but I'm not afraid of death. So, you have to think about those things. So fear does paralyze. Yes, Mary, it does. Mary, I'm not going to say too much about this, but Mary, prayers to you because I love you and I hope things went well today. I hope we found solutions, love. And I do have a question for you, but I'll call you tomorrow about that. I forgot, my boss came in my office and asked me about you today. And I said, I'd call you, but she didn't remind me, so I didn't call you. So I'll talk to you later about that. But anyway. So, fear is the number one thing that creates control. That's why religions use fear. And fear is what harms people in relation. That's why people who are narcissistic use fear and use abuse to hold you down, because those are the two things that control you. So, but once you don't have those things, once those things, once those things are over you, then that's how they control you. Once you don't have them, you can't be controlled. Remember, opinions are like butts. Everybody has one. I cleaned that up a little bit because we're online. So, and everybody has an opinion, but you don't have to live by someone else's opinion or their perception of who you are. That's their perception. Genetics is genetics. It's how you look is how you look. But there's somebody out there for everybody. And so stop worrying that you're not going to meet the person of your dreams. Relationships, in order for them to work, is you have to be honest and you have to be truthful with your partner and yourself. You have to learn to love yourself in order for you to have true love with your partner. If you don't love yourself, then your partner's fallen in love with somebody he doesn't know or she doesn't know. So you need to learn to love yourself first so that your partner knows who you are, and that your partner needs to love their self so that you know who you've fallen in love with. Then there needs to be honesty between those two. And then there needs to be commitment, because commitment brings in true love. So let me be honest. True love never, to me, I'm more in love now than the day I got married. That's truth. I feel more in love now today than I did the day that I got married. And that's just because of commitment in the life struggles that we've been through together as a team and how we've dealt with them, and the many things we've experienced together as a couple. Those things are just memorable to me. Those things have made me fall so much more in love than when we first met. When we first met, I fell in love with somebody completely different than who we are today. You know, when I how many of y'all know my husband? How many of y'all know him? What if everybody? Probably most of you. Most of y'all know him. Well, when I met Magni was snowboarder, college artist, smoked cigarettes, smoked Marlboros, drank. Now he does none of that. He is totally not the person that I met and felt that and went crazy over. He is totally somebody completely different, but I'm more in love with him today than I was when I first met. I fall more in love with him every day. It's because of the commitments that we've made. It's the struggles that we've been through. It's the drama that we've been through and we've survived. And, it's all those things that we've been through and made it through as a couple and a team that make me fall so much more in love. And that's what makes a good relationship. And that's what people need to understand. That I don't see myself. I have not yet met anyone that even comes close to being able to tolerate me. I see some that have tried, but mm-mm. So I hope, Elizabeth, that you just wreck Metri's nerves, girl. I want you to just take Metri down one man at a time, or girl, if that's your thing. I don't know. Whatever your thing is, girl. I want you to go out there and shine. And you take them down one at a time. You just go have some fun. And if you can get to Orlando for Touching Eternity, do so. You do. Take them down one at a time. You can get to Touch Eternity and take the end of this course. Be wonderful. If not, I am going to be teaching it probably in the fall this year here in the New Orleans area, post Touching Eternity, because I don't want to have both courses. So I've taught part 1 and part 2 at Touch Eternity, and then I'll offer it as one course here. But it really will help you understand what I mean by looking at yourself, and because it gives you in the course constructive ways to. The theory part talks about how to break down those fears and look at them. Also has exercises that help you look at them. And then the part 2, which we're doing in Orlando, is going to show you how to create that energy from within to build that positive shine and to help you with the shine part. So that's what we're doing. Y'all are a great crew. Y'all are a great crew. So relationships are a complicated thing, and understanding each other is even more. But notice that one thing I do want to say about relationships too is that you attract what you put out there too. Know that. So if you're in a bad relationship, you attracted it. You asked for it. So don't look at your partner. Look at you. Why'd you attract it and why are you staying in it? And do not blame the kids. If you have kids, do not blame those kids, because it is not those kids' fault. That is the number one thing I jump on my clients about. The first thing out there about, well, we had kids. I can't leave. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. I know I stayed because of the kids. Wrong. Don't use those kids for your weakness. Nope. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. Nope. Don't go there. Wrong with me. Wrong answer. Because you're teaching your kids love. And so you're telling your kids it's okay to stay with somebody who's messing you up. Right. No. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. Do not tell, never tell me that. So I'm warning y'all. If you come for a session and you tell me you stayed in a messed up relationship because of the kids, I'm gonna let you have it. Know that. No, I don't. No, you never blame your parents for why you make wrong choices, but you should look at what you've learned from them that you carried through. So you don't blame them because you have choice. You have a choice to make to either be or not be like them. So, and again, so I'll give you an example, Tina. Let me give you an example on that, my baby. So my grandfather on my dad's side was abusive, very abusive. To some of his kids and to some of his he wasn't physically abusive to his grandkids that I know of, but he's verbally abusive to his grandkids. Like he used to tell me to go. He used to at 3 years old, he would tell me to go play on the median on Airline Highway, and there wasn't once I'd get hit by cars. Okay, we had this love hate relationship. He didn't like me. He didn't like my sister either. My grandmother was a saint. I loved her. I don't know how she stayed with him, but because she was absolutely wonderful. But he was mean to us, and he was mean to his kids. Physically abusive to his children. So, in his children, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to name any names. Some of his children were abusive to their children, and some weren't. I'll talk about my dad. My dad was not abusive to us, okay, because his dad was abusive. So he made a point. He broke the chain. He made a point not to be abusive. But here comes the problem with that. I was thankful that he wasn't abusive, so we didn't get beat a lot. But my father from growing up felt that was love. Beating was love. So he never did show us a lot of love. He would show other kids love and affection, but not so much us, his own children. He'd rather be with his nieces and nephews and their families versus his own children. And it took me a long time to understand. It took me a long time, and probably 30 years of him and I not speaking. But when we got older, we ironed out. Things are good now, but it took me a long time to understand why and understand my father. And I love him dearly. I would not trade him for any other father in the world at this point. But it took me a long time to learn, why he was that way. And it was because he didn't understand love. He didn't understand. So it's not really his fault, And then I had to look at my grandfather, the abusive guy. And I had to figure out why he was angry. He was abandoned as a child. So I get it. My dad tried to break the chain, and he did because I'm not an abusive person. Well, maybe a little. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not an abusive person. My dad was not abusive to us, but he didn't show a lot of love to us. My mom showed a lot of love to us. So I did get compensation from there. But his dad was very abusive. But I had to go back and try to understand him. So when I teach energetics, I also teach you about going back and learning how to understand, not blame, understand behavior, understand why these things happen. Look at the cultural things. Look at the slates of your people from when they were born up and why those behaviors happened the way they did. So you're not really blaming somebody for the wrong choices or whatever, but you learned a lot of times different things from behaviors that you've seen growing up or you felt growing up. My father always yelled at me a lot about, before Magni, of course, about some of the people I chose to date. But what my father didn't realize, I choose people to date like the people he hung around with. So what I was really, my crying was I was trying to be close to my father. It took me to be an adult to understand that. I was trying to find a connection to my dad, so I started dating like people he hung around with, because that was in my subconscious, that was some kind of connection to my father. Kind of crazy, but I had to, when you go back and you start analyzing all these things, you have to go back and you have to looking at why we have these behaviors, why, what in the subconscious, was happening with all of this, and you have to think about it. What would cause that behavior? What caused you to think that way? And it has to be something you've learned. You were born with a clean slate. You had to pick it up from somewhere. There has to be something going on that created the insecurity within inside yourself that made you make that decision. What caused it? Sometimes it's an experience. Sometimes it's a traumatic experience. Sometimes it's been a family trait that's just been handed down and handed down and handed down and handed down, and it's just a natural thing that nobody's ever picked up on, but it's scarred everybody all the way down. My grandfather was abandoned as a child. He had to go to work as a very young boy, and he was very angry because his father abandoned his mother and his siblings in Louisiana, in New Orleans, Metairie, abandoned them, and he left and never came back. And so he was very angry. He had to work all his life hard, and he was very angry about this always. And he was abusive and cursed and screamed and yelled, and I just hardly ever, I can very hardly remember him ever being happy. Yes, I can find you the right person, probably. I just got to get you to understand how to go soul search and go in and make yourself shine so that you can attract. I ain't got to find them. You're going to find them. You're going to attract that right person to you. But you got to get out of the house. I can't bring them to your doorstep. Like I said, the postman's not always now they don't even get out the car anymore. Hardly. They pull up to that mailbox, drop it in. They hardly get out and walk anymore. So, you got to get out the house and you got to go do things. You got to go, go have some fun in your life. So we got to get fun back into our lives. We got to start loving again and start caring about each other again and start learning to not fear anymore and start having compassion again and start worrying about each other again and stop fearing everything and stop letting religions and governments and other people creating fear amongst us, because there is really nothing to fear. There really is nothing to fear, because when it's your time, it's your time. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Do what makes you happy. Enjoy life. Do what makes you happy, but be sure it's what makes you happy. Stop mimicking your people. Mimic who you really are. I love people that tell me, now guys, I love children, okay? I want to say it to you. I do. I love children. I look at children many times and cry just because they're so beautiful and they're so funny and they're so real. But I love people who always say, I do everything for the kids. I do everything for the kids. I do everything for the kids. But they never do that for themselves. And I'm like, I understand there should be things for the kids, but there also needs to be something for you. For you. Quit using the kids. I see so many people use kids and pets for excuses more than anything else in the world. Guys, you should love your pets and you should love your kids. But above anything else, you should love yourself. Why would you make sacrifices for your kids and your pets, but you wouldn't sacrifice something for yourself? Why would you? Because don't you realize that if something happens to you, who's going to take care of the kids and the pets? You have to take care of you. There's a guy. I just played this for the lady who did my hair today. there's a guy on TikTok, and he does this. He's a comedian. He's Asian, and he does this thing. He does, and he goes, and he loves, and it's a little bit of political, and he loves his politic friends. And he was just saying, he goes, I love patriots. He goes, and I love these patriots. He says, but he goes, they will die for their country, but they won't do math for their country. And he's right, because they won't read a book for the country, but they'll die for the country. He goes, if they would do math and read a book, they wouldn't have to die for the country. He goes, but maybe dying's easier than reading a book and doing math. I said, he's kind of right. I said, he's kind of right. That's kind of how they kind of people think these days. That it's kind of too hard to do because we're not the top in math anymore. We're not the top in science anymore. We're not the top A's because we no longer want to do those things. But we're willing to die for the country. Make it make sense. He says, read a book for the country. He said, do some math for the country. He says, and then you can die too for the country, but do the other stuff. The stuff that at least you can live with. He was cute. He was funny. But anyway, so you guys. Relationships. That has been like the number one thing I've been talking about like these last 3 weeks. So I'm starting to worry about the population. Girls and guys, what I need to do for you guys. I need to come out there and just start talking some sense to people. People just need to be happy and take care of one another and learn to love. And I think one of the biggest problems, and maybe some of y'all can jump in on this. Yeah, cleanse the men. You got that right. I think one of the biggest problems, and I think this is a problem, is we've become so self-indulged in everything we do that the media and the world has gotten us so involved in self-awareness. Not self-awareness. I don't want to say, because we're not self-aware by no means, but what's the word I'm looking for? We're so so satisfying. Like everything is, in your phone, in your face. Everything's looking. We no longer see anything past the front of our nose. We become prisoners in our own space. You never have to leave your house anymore to order food, to do shop, to go do anything. Everything's closing down. Everything is closing down because you don't ever have to leave your home. You're becoming a prisoner in your own home, in your own surroundings. You're becoming a prisoner. So what that's going to do is limit social interaction. That's going to limit, people getting to know who you really are, because you're going to lose yourself because you're not able to express or explore. It's going to get harder and harder for our younger generation to actually go out and meet people with any substance, because they're not leaving their rooms playing, war games on the computers, and they playing, it's all they do is their interactions are all online now. They never get out and they have social anxiety because they don't get out and do things with other people, and I see that change, I see that change happen, and it really scares me. How to change that, Tina? I would say have play dates with other kids and make them go to the park. Take them out to feed the ducks, or take a walk down a nature trail, or, of course, probably bring a bulletproof vest. No, I'm just kidding, depending where you live. But go to a nature trail, go to a park, go, go take them out to touch things. And because everything has gotten to be, we don't have to leave the home to do any. You order food home, you cook at home, you're on the computer at home, you're on your phone at home. Everybody's going from one house to the next. Nobody's outdoors anymore. We need to start going back to old school to bring balance back into these kids' lives again. Let them start socializing. Actually, I I remember when I was young, we would have, we had our garages were like, we used to hold proms in our garages, like not proms, but like the big dances. We'd have the record player going, and we'd have friends over, and they would sit around, we'd all start dancing. We would spike them, and we'd have punch, spike the punch, and that's what we did sometimes on Saturday night, or we'd come over and we would play games, or we would do something as a group in the neighborhood. We would do stuff like that. But now everybody's afraid of being sued or being called out about something, or it's gotten to be so crazy that people are afraid to do anything. And I think that's a big, but the parents are becoming just as bad as the kids with getting off. I'm guilty. Cell phone. When I get home, I'm tired. I just want to mug at myself because I don't want to. I'm because I've either been working all day, or I'm going to do a bunch of reads. I just want to lay down and just do nothing, So I kind of think that we need to look at getting people to start mingling again, being more social, because social anxiety is going to start going through the roof. We're going to have our psych hospitals are going to be filled with people. I think that is probably a piece of what causes us, but I also think a lot of the chemicals in our food is causing autism. I think a lot of the food they feed us in America is causing a lot, because I travel a lot of this world. Like I go to a lot of other countries, and I see a lot more autism here in America. And I could be wrong on this. I'm not making this an official statement, but maybe it's because I work in hospitals here in America, not in other countries. But I definitely see more people with like ADHD and autism here in America than I do in other countries. And so I think it has a direct relationship to the food that we're being served and fed with all the chemicals and the fast growth stuff and the hormones and stuff. Yeah, could be that too. Yeah. Also, yes, could be the medications. I do think that has a contributing factor into it. And the fact that the current government and upcoming government want to deregulate a lot of the things that they put in our food, because like there's a lot of food that's banned all over the world that we still feed our people here. I'm gonna give y'all a good book to go read if you can find it, and it'll tell you like some horror stories, but it's called Lies My Teacher Told Me, and there's actually a chapter in there where it talks about when Quaker Oats oatmeal, and I think it was like the 1930s, they wanted to test radiation, so they actually radiated the oatmeal and was seeing how it affected humans, and they didn't tell anybody. That's a true story. That happened in America. That happened on American soil. Go if you want to get woke, go read that book, because it'll tell you some horrifying. Tells you how a lot of the government agencies like OSHA got formed and why. And I think OSHA was formed. Something happened here in Louisiana, I believe. I think it was like an incident happened in Louisiana that created OSHA. So a dangerous thing happened here. But if you go read that book, it's a thick book, but it's called Lies My Teacher Told Me, and it's all true things that happened in America. And it tells you a lot of horrific things that had happened and why certain things were developed because of these instances and stuff. It's really a horrific book, but it'll definitely wake you up, and just the things that were done, like how whole cities were just taken down, just disappeared in America, wiped out for different reasons. And it goes way back. It starts back with like Columbus and goes through everything. It covers all kinds of crazy stuff. Like even covers a section about slavery, like how one of the insurance. This is something I didn't know about. One of the insurance company, and they don't never tell you in the book, because they could have been sued, but I think it was probably Lloyd's of London. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what I believe it was. But it was an English insurance company. England insurance company financed the slave ships, so they would lose some, maybe purposely kill. Well, it was alleged they would purposely unalive. I don't want to use that. I think I'm on TikTok, so I gotta be careful. They would unalive slaves, and that's if you've seen the movie. It was one of the movies they show it, but where they would chain the slaves up and they would throw them overboard and drown them, because they had to have so many unalive before they got to America, because that they were insured, so they would get paid, so it would cover their transportation, and then they would sell the rest, so they would make a profit. It's horrible. So anyway, really good book. If you ever, it's really a good book. But it's called Lies My Teacher Told Me. But anyway, back to relationships. So I do think that moving forward, trying to address your fears is one. Going back and looking at your family history, moms, grandmoms, granddads, dads, and look at what you've learned from them and their characters, how many times they were married, if it's once, twice, religious beliefs, culture, those things, and look at your ideals on love and what you're looking for. Look at your mate or your partner or somebody you're interested in and what their people and what they've gone through, and then look at their behavior and how they react. It'll help you understand them more, and that could help you understand your partner so that you can have a better relationship with your partner. So if you're in a relationship, that helps too, because then you start understanding why your partner reacts the way they do during certain situations. Because Magni and I come from completely different families, completely, but it's really good for us because we're like yin and yang. When I get excited, he's able to bring me down. When he gets really down, I can bring him up. So it's almost like we balance each other. So that's helped us in our relationship. So you got to figure out, if you can figure those things out, if you're in a relationship, that will also help you as well. So guys, it is getting late and I do have work tomorrow, but I did want to spend some time with you. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk about spirituality. And we're going to talk about energy and spirituality and finding yourself and all those things. So join me tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I will be on here, and that will be the Touching Eternity podcast. Tonight, again, was just me trying to come on and talk a little bit and trying to get used to this new program. Facebook is working fine. I still got to find a better way so I can see the TikTok people watching. And so it's been great. Hey, Sophia. Honey, you still need to call me. I owe you one, girl. You need to call me. I need to talk about your relationships. I owe you. You need to shoot me a text sometime soon so I can take care of you, my friend. And I hope your birthday was wonderful, love. I know you had one recently. All right, folks. You guys have a great night. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I will see y'all tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.